In 2003, a demolition crew in Yekaterinburg found a sealed vault beneath a demolished ministry building. Inside, 40,000 film canisters marked only with dates. One was labeled November 7th, 1989. The warning said 2039. It was opened 20 years early. Nobody expected what the film contained. The first reel was labeled Arrival Sol Zero, but not American, not Viking, not Pathfinder. This was Mars 89, a mission that officially never existed. 3 cosmonauts, 1 lander, 63 souls on the surface. Commander Irina Volkova, veteran of Salyut 7, selected for Mars 89 in 1986. She was 34 when she left Earth. She never came back. Flight engineer Yuri Antonov, the oldest man ever assigned to deep space. He'd spent 241 days in orbit. He thought that prepared him for Mars. It didn't. And physician Alexei Sorokin, 26 years old. This was his first space flight, his only space flight. The mission doctor who couldn't save himself. They launched October 3rd, 1989, the N-1-7 rocket, a classified variant of the failed lunar booster redesigned for interplanetary injection. The launch was perfect. That's when the problem started. 9 months in a space the size of a city bus. The psychological screening was supposed to be flawless. The first crack appeared in month 4. Sorokin's medical logs. Sleep deprivation in all 3 crew members. Antonov began reporting sounds in the hull. Vibrations that instruments never detected. The audio recording survived. In month 6, Antonov is heard describing something touching the hull during a solar storm. The exterior cameras showed nothing. They achieved Mars orbit July 14th, 1989. Independence Day in America. The irony wasn't lost on Volkova. She radioed Moscow. The red planet welcomes the red flag. The lander was called Belyaev, named for a forgotten cosmonaut from the 1960s. It was designed for 45 sols. They stayed for 63. Moscow Mission Control. The landing was scheduled for August 2nd. The tension wasn't technical, it was political. Gorbachev's reforms were faltering. This mission had to succeed. The descent was automated. Soviet engineering didn't trust human reflexes at 7 kilometers per second, but someone was watching. The landing camera captured something impossible. Frame 847, a structure, rectangular, artificial, 3 kilometers from the landing site. The transmission stopped for 11 minutes. When it resumed, the object was gone. Moscow's response: meteorological phenomenon, dust devils reflecting starlight. But the crew had seen it too. Volkova's first surface report never mentioned the structure, but her face did. This is Volkova, 6 hours after landing. Look at her eyes. This isn't the face of someone who saw a transmission error. August 2nd, 1989. The first human footprint on Mars. Soviet, female. Irina Volkova's words: the dust is finer than lunar regolith. It gets into everything, including your thoughts. They had 45 sols of supplies, 30 sols of guaranteed return window. The plan was simple: science, samples, survival. Mars had other plans. The science program was aggressive. Deep core samples, atmospheric analysis, the search for life, microbial, ancient, anything. They found something else, Sol 12, Antonov's geology report. Crystalline formations at 300 meters depth, not water-formed, not volcanic, structured, layered, like growth rings. The habitation module was designed for efficiency, not comfort. 3 people, 6 months. The air recyclers hummed constantly. After Sol 15, the crew stopped noticing. Sorokin's private journal, discovered in the vault. All 3 of us dream of the same valley. Red walls, black sky, a sound like breathing. We never discuss it at breakfast. Sol 20, the first sunset on Mars. Blue, not red. The dust scatters light differently. Volkova described it as Earth's sky inverted, as if the planet is mocking us. Sol 23. Night operations. The camera captured a light on the western horizon. Not Phobos, not Deimos. Something in the atmosphere. Burning, moving against the wind. Moscow's response. Meteorological phenomenon. Dust devils reflecting starlight. But the trajectory was wrong. The light moved uphill, against gravity, against physics. Volkova requested permission to investigate. Denied. The mission was scientific, not exploratory. Stay within 500 meters of the lander. She stayed, but she watched. The official map shows their operational zone. A circle, 500 meters radius. But Sorokin's medical logs mention walks of 6 kilometers. Volkova was lying to Moscow. Sol 28. Volkova's unauthorized excursion. 6 hours of missing telemetry. When she returned, her suit contained 40 kilograms of unregistered samples, and her camera was empty. 36 exposures, all blank or removed. Volkova claimed equipment malfunction, but the camera worked perfectly before and after. The lander's automatic camera caught this. Volkova examining something she brought back. Small, metallic, not Martian, not Soviet, something else. Moscow's response was immediate. Return all samples. Prepare for emergency ascent. Volkova refused. She radioed. We haven't completed primary objectives. But that wasn't the reason. A letter to her daughter, found in the vault. Natasha, I found something that understands loneliness. It recognizes me. I cannot leave it alone again. Sol 31, the first dust storm. Not unusual for Mars, but this one behaved differently. It circled the lander, never closer than 200 meters, never farther. The meteorological data shows impossible patterns. Pressure fluctuations matching the crew's heart rates. Temperature variations correlating with their sleep cycles. Antonov's audio log, the storm is listening. When we speak, it changes direction. When we're silent, it waits. This is not weather. This is something wearing weather like a mask. The seismograph, regular pulses from 40 kilometers depth, patterned, not natural. Sorokin calculated 72 beats per minute, human resting heart rate, Sol 35. The storm had surrounded them for 4 sols. Supplies were critical. The ascent window was closing, and something was calling from beneath the surface. Moscow's final order, immediate ascent. Abandon samples. Abandon the mission. Preserve the crew. Volkova's response recorded and classified. We are the samples now. She had decided they would not leave, or rather she would not leave. The others could choose, but choice on Mars is complicated. Antonov wanted to follow orders. Sorokin was uncertain. The physician had seen Volkova's medical data. Her blood chemistry was changing. She was becoming something else. Her hemoglobin was binding to something, not oxygen. Something in the Martian atmosphere. The dust. She was breathing Mars, and Mars was breathing her. Look at her face in these later images. The same features, but arranged differently, as if someone is learning to be human by wearing her. Sol 40, the storm ended, not dissipated, absorbed, into the ground, into the structure that wasn't there before, 3 kilometers away, now 2 kilometers, moving closer. It was real, the structure, close enough now for details, not built, grown, crystalline, the same material as Antonov's deep core sample, but organized, purposeful. They watched it for 6 hours. It didn't move, but it changed. Angles shifted. Faces appeared in the crystal. Human faces, their faces, reflected before they moved. The reflections showed the future. Volkova saw herself outside, without a suit, breathing, Antonov saw himself old, decades older. Mars aged differently. Sorokin's instruments measured time dilation near the structure. Minutes passing inside, hours outside. The structure existed in a different temporal frame. Sol 42. Volkova decided to approach. Alone. If time moved differently there, she could study it for hours while minutes passed at the lander. A scientific opportunity. She walked for what the lander recorded as 45 minutes. Her suit telemetry showed 12 hours. She covered 2 kilometers. The structure retreated at exactly her walking pace. It was playing with her, or teaching her. Every step forward, the structure stepped back, maintaining distance, but showing itself, proving it was real and intelligent. She stopped walking, sat on a boulder, waited. 4 hours, her time. 20 minutes, lander time. The structure stopped retreating. It was waiting too. 2 beings, separated by 500 meters of Martian soil. 1 human. 1 other. Both breathing the same thin atmosphere. Both wondering who would move first. She raised her hand, not in greeting, in question. "What are you?" The structure responded, not with movement, with sound. Through the ground, through her suit. The seismograph in her suit recorded it. Patterns. Not geological, linguistic, mathematical at first, then biological, then personal. It was speaking to her cells. She described it later. Not words, memories that weren't hers. A Mars with oceans, with forests, with civilization. Then war, then silence, then waiting, waiting for her. The vision showed her Mars's past. Not human, not alien in the science fiction sense. Something that evolved here, died here, left ghosts in the rocks and traps. She understood. The structure wasn't a building. It was a question, a test. Mars asking humanity, "Can you listen, or will you only take?" She walked back. The structure followed, not retreating, not advancing, accompanying. When she reached the lander, it stopped 500 meters away, waiting, patient. 12 hours in her time, 47 minutes in theirs. She had aged, subtly. Her skin had adapted, thicker, different texture. She could smell the Martian atmosphere. Through the hull, Antonov's examination. Her lung capacity had increased 40%. Her blood pressure was wrong for Earth, right for Mars. She was becoming Martian, literally. Sorokin's notes. Cellular adaptation impossible through natural selection, yet occurring in hours. The structure is teaching her body, educating her biology, making her compatible. She spent Sol 43 at the window, not speaking, just being with it. The structure pulsed in rhythm with her heart. They were synchronized now. 2 systems, 1 frequency. Moscow was screaming. The launch window was 72 hours from closing. No response from the crew. Not malfunction, silence, choice. They were choosing Mars. Sol 44. The final decision. Volkova explained what she had learned. The structure offered adaptation, not for all, for one, a bridge between worlds. She would stay. Antonov was 52. He had lived. He offered to stay instead. "You're young," he told her. "You have a daughter." She answered, "That's why I must stay. For her future, for all their futures." Sorokin was 26. He wanted to live, but he was also a scientist. The opportunity was infinite. "Study me," Volkova told him. "Document what happens, then go home. Tell them." They agreed. Sorokin and Antonov would return, with all data, all samples, all proof. Volkova would remain, become the proof herself. The first Martian, the first bridge, Sol 45, preparing the ascent vehicle. 2 seats, 2 survivors. The third would watch from the surface. Forever. The calculations were precise. The emotions were not. She stripped her suit of Earth requirements, oxygen tanks, pressure systems. She needed only water, food, protection from radiation. The structure would provide the rest. Eventually, her last touch of human engineering, the lander that brought her, that would take the others. She whispered something, not recorded, but Sorokin remembered. "Thank you for bringing me home." She walked toward the structure. It opened, not physically, temporally, a space where Mars's past and future existed together, where she could learn and wait inside. The air was breathable, barely, thick with dust and something else, ancient. She removed her helmet, coughing, adapting, living, the first human to breathe Mars, her first breath. It burned, it nourished, it changed her. The structure recorded everything, her adaptation, her survival, the template for future visitors, if they came, if they listened. Sol 46. Launch -4 hours. Antonov and Sorokin strapped in. Watching her through the window, she waved, not goodbye. "See you." In a future they couldn't imagine. She watched from the structure, the vehicle that would take them home, that would leave her here. She felt no fear. The structure was teaching her. She was becoming necessary. Ignition. The ascent vehicle rose on Soviet engineering and human will. Two survivors, one martyr or pioneer. The definitions would change over time, if the world ever learned. She watched them go, then turned to the structure, to her new home, to the knowledge of a dead civilization, and the responsibility of a living one. She was Mars now. Mars was her. Moscow celebrated. The ascent vehicle achieved orbit. Rendezvous with the Earth return module was successful. Two heroes returning, one lost to the red dust. A tragedy, but a success. But the celebration was private. The Politburo met. Gorbachev himself. The footage of the structure, of Volkova's transformation, of contact with something too dangerous for Glasnost. The order was given. Mars 89 never happened. Volkova died in a training accident. Antonov and Sorokin were sworn to silence. The footage was sealed until 2039, or forever. Antonov accepted. He was old. He wanted peace. Sorokin resisted. He was young. He wanted truth. They showed him Volkova's family, her daughter. For her safety, they said. He understood. Sorokin wrote one letter, hidden in his sister's keeping. "I left her there, alive, becoming magnificent, and I can never tell anyone. I am a coward. She is a god." Then the Soviet Union fell. 1991. The vault in Yekaterinburg was forgotten. The classification system broke down. The 2039 date became meaningless. The secret outlived the keepers. The 1990s. Russia broke. Archives were sold, lost, forgotten. The Mars 89 canisters sat in darkness, waiting. While on Mars, something waited too, and grew, and learned. Years passed, on Earth, not in the structure. Volkova experienced decades as days. She learned the Martian language, mathematics, history, the war that killed a world, the silence that followed. The Martians didn't die naturally. They chose a civilization that reached too far, touched something in the dark between stars, and was burned for their curiosity. She understood the warning. Mars was a graveyard and a quarantine. The structure wasn't a gift, it was a guardian, watching for the thing that killed Mars, watching through her. She became the watcher, human eyes with Martian knowledge, looking at Earth, at the civilization that would eventually return. That might make the same mistakes, unless she warned them. 2024. A new space race, private, American, Chinese, European. Mars is the destination again. But this time, they know something is waiting. The 2003 vault discovery changed everything. When the vault opened, the footage was analyzed. Digital restoration revealed what 1989 technology missed. The structure, Volkova's transformation, the impossible truth of contact. Modern orbiters photographed the region. The structure was still there, larger, changed, active. And beside it, something new, a habitat, human-made, but not from Earth. The United Nations held closed sessions. China and America accelerated Mars programs, not for science, for contact, for warning, for whatever Volkova had become. Every modern Mars astronaut studies the Mars 89 footage, not as history, as training. They learn what Volkova learned, what to expect, what to fear, what to hope. The new missions carry 3 crew, like Mars 89, 2 to return, 1 to potentially stay. The choice is discussed openly now. The sacrifice is understood. The opportunity is real. They launch in 2026. American, international, private and public, multiple missions, coordinated, learning from Soviet mistakes and from Soviet courage. The approach is different now. They know what to look for. The structure is visible from orbit. It pulses. It knows they're coming. It has been waiting for 37 years. They land 50 kilometers from the original site. Respect for history, caution for the unknown. The structure is visible on the horizon. Larger than in 1989. Growing. First steps, 2026, American and international. They know they're not first. They know someone is watching. Someone who was human once, who might still be human in some way. They establish base. They don't rush. They study. They listen. They remember Sorokin's medical logs, the dreams, the synchronization. They prepare their minds, not just equipment. Day 30, they compare footage. The structure has grown, changed shape, become more habitable, as if preparing for guests or for family. Earth watches, 6 minutes of light speed delay. The astronauts make decisions alone, as Volkova did. The structure is 10 kilometers away, close enough to walk, far enough to choose. Commander Sarah Chen, 35 years old. She studies Volkova's face in the 1989 footage. The same age, the same determination, the same choice approaching. Chen's private log. Volkova didn't know if anyone would follow. She sacrificed everything for possibility. I know she's there. I know she survived. The question is, what is she now? Day 45. The approach begins, not on foot, by rover. Instruments recording everything. They remember the time dilation. They remember Volkova's 12 hours becoming 47 minutes. The structure is more beautiful than the 1989 footage suggested. Crystalline, musical. It hums at frequencies humans feel rather than hear. It is alive, or was alive, or wants to be alive. It opens, not with mechanics, with intention. A space appears, invitation, or trap. The same choice Volkova faced. Chen stops the rover. She will walk, alone. As Volkova did, she walks. The structure maintains distance, the same behavior, teaching patience. Chen stops, waits. 4 hours pass. The structure approaches. The test is passed. They face each other. Chen raises her hand. The structure responds with light, patterns, mathematics, then images. Mars with oceans, with forests, with Volkova, living, learning, waiting. Volkova, changed, aged in ways that aren't aging. Her skin adapted, her eyes different, but her smile, her human smile, still there, still welcoming, still teaching. They meet, not with words, with understanding. Volkova touches Chen's helmet, a gesture. You came, not surprise, expectation. She knew, she calculated, she waited. Volkova shares. The Martian history, the warning, the thing that killed a world, still out there, watching Earth now, through human eyes, through her, through the connection she maintains. The threat, not alien in the biological sense, something that feeds on curiosity, on expansion, on civilizations that reach too far. Mars was dessert, Earth would be the meal. Volkova's purpose, not to escape, to watch, to warn, to be the sentinel Mars never had. She has waited for humans to return, to become advanced enough to understand, to be scared enough to listen. Chen understands the choice, not just to stay or leave, to become or remain, to be the bridge, the warning system, the next sentinel, or to return, to tell Earth, to prepare. Volkova offers, not commands, the adaptation, the knowledge, the responsibility, or the return, with warning, with proof, with the burden of knowing what approaches. Chen decides, not immediately. She spends 3 days in the structure, learning, understanding, becoming friends with what Volkova has become. Then she chooses. She will return. Not because she's afraid, because she's needed. Earth must know, must prepare, must choose differently than Mars did. Volkova agrees. The warning needs a messenger, their farewell, not goodbye. You'll come back, Volkova says, through the structure's translation. Or someone will, when Earth is ready, when humanity is ready to be more than human. Chen returns, changed not in body, in purpose. She carries the warning, the proof, the knowledge of what waits between stars and what guards against it on Mars and Volkova. Earth receives the message, not just data, understanding. The structure is a defense. Volkova is a sentinel. Mars died so Earth might live. If we listen, if we're wise, the United Nations acts, not with fear, with preparation. Mars becomes protected, sacred, a warning system. Volkova is recognized, not as lost, as deployed, as serving. Natasha Volkova, 69 years old, learning her mother didn't die in 1989, didn't abandon her, became something necessary for everyone. The tears are complex: joy, grief, pride, fear, the return journey. Chen carries samples, data, and a message. Do not expand blindly. Do not reach without listening. The universe has guardians. Become worthy of joining them. Earth, from the return trajectory, the blue marble, the target, the prize, for the thing that killed Mars, unless humanity learns, unless we become sentinels too. Chen's promise. She will return, not to stay, but to visit, to learn, to maintain the connection, the bridge between worlds, between human and more than human. Mars recedes, the structure pulses. Volkova watches, not alone anymore, connected to Earth, to Chen, to the future. The first Martian, the first sentinel, the first of many. Perhaps Earth approaches, the end of one journey, the beginning of another. Humanity must choose, expansion with wisdom or the fate of Mars. The choice is now informed, now real. They land. The world watches. Not just astronauts returning, messengers from a new reality. The universe is more complex, more dangerous, more wonderful than we knew. Chen speaks to leaders, to scientists, to humanity. We are not alone. We are watched. We are warned. Mars died so we might learn. Let us be worthy of that sacrifice. Volkova, 1989. Young, brave, choosing the unknown so we might know, becoming necessary so we might survive. Watch her change, across the footage, subtle, real, not monster, not alien, more, adapted, evolved, for purpose, for love, for all of us who would come after. Her last look back, August 1989, not goodbye, see you in 37 years, in a future she couldn't imagine, but prepared for, with her sacrifice, with her transformation, with her love. I found the vault in 2023, before Chen's mission, when Mars 89 was still rumor. The canisters were real. The footage was real. The transformation was documented, waiting. I spent months restoring the footage, frame by frame, watching Volkova change, watching the structure grow, understanding what was buried, what was denied, what was waiting. The digital restoration revealed what analog missed: the structure's growth, Volkova's adaptation, the communication between them, a relationship, a partnership, a becoming. I compared 1989 and 2024. The structure was smaller then, younger, learning. Now it's mature. And Volkova, she was human. Now she's more, but still herself, still choosing. I found Antonov, died 2003, never spoke, buried with honors he couldn't explain. Sorokin, died 2019. His sister gave me the letter, the confession, the truth he couldn't tell. I left her there, alive, becoming magnificent. Sorokin's words, his guilt, his hope. She is the future. If we are brave enough to join her, if we are wise enough to listen. I look at Mars now, through telescopes, through orbiters, through Chen's reports. I see the structure. I imagine Volkova inside, watching, waiting, guarding, for me, for all of us. I'm 34, Volkova's age when she left. I have children. She had a child. The choice she made. The sacrifice. I understand it now. I don't know if I can make it. I'm grateful she did. New missions prepare, not just American, international, human. We go as a species now, warned, prepared, respectful. The Mars 89 archive changed how we approach the stars. They train differently now. Psychological preparation, the possibility of contact, of transformation, of choice. Volkova's journey is their textbook. Her courage is their standard. Natasha met the new astronauts. She gave them her mother's photograph. She went for everyone, she said, but also for me. So I would have a future, so we all would. The photograph, Volkova and Natasha, 1986, 3 years before Mars. The love that drove her, not away, toward a future where her daughter could know, could be proud, could be safe. The new base, 50 kilometers from the structure, respectful distance, communication established. Volkova is visited, not studied, honored, consulted, the first resident, the guardian. They visit, not to exploit, to learn. Volkova teaches the Martian history, the cosmic threat, the possibility of guardianship, of becoming more. For protection, for wisdom, she teaches. Through the structure, through connection, her body is different. Her mind is expanded. But her purpose, her love, her humanity, these remain, these grow. Earth changes. The warning is heeded. Expansion becomes careful, curious but respectful. The universe is not empty, not safe, but not hostile. If we learn, if we listen, children look at Mars, they know. Someone is there, guarding, watching, protecting. A human who became more. For them, for all of us. The first, but not the last. I close the canister. The vault is open now. The truth is known. The archive is complete. Mars 89. The mission that never happened. That changed everything. Her first step. August 2nd, 1989. The footprint is still there. Preserved. Photographed by orbiters. A holy site. The first, the most important. The beginning. Rovers approach. Carefully. The site is protected. The footprint, the lander wreckage. Volkova's first habitat. Historical treasures. Evidence of sacrifice. Proof of transformation. The footprint. Small, human. Permanent on a world that changes slowly. The mark of a woman who became more. Who became necessary? Who became Mars? The structure, still growing, still learning. With her inside, with her consciousness expanded, guarding, warning, teaching. The first bridge between worlds. Two worlds, linked now, by sacrifice, by transformation, by love that crossed space and time. Volkova's love for her daughter, for humanity, for the future. I found the archive. I restored it. I tell you now, not as history, as warning, as hope, as proof that humanity can become more, when we must, when we choose to. Remember her, not as legend, as person, 34 years old, afraid, brave, choosing the unknown so we might know, becoming necessary so we might survive. Watch her change, across the footage, subtle, real, not monster, not alien, more, adapted, evolved, for purpose, for love, for all of us who would come after. Her last look back. August 1989. Not goodbye. See you. In 37 years. In a future she couldn't imagine, but prepared for. With her sacrifice, with her transformation, with her love. She is there now, changed, guarding, teaching, waiting for the next visitor, the next choice, the next possibility of becoming. The archive is open. The future is waiting.